What up? It's your boy Nick Incredible Man, and yes, I am back at it again. And this is my discussion slash review for Reacher, the series. Dude, I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. Let's talk about it.
Yo, fight until you make it, yo, don't think it, no, just take it. Don't wait for someone to break it, take control, then don't just take it. Hey, you can make it happen, you just gotta take some action. Take the ship and be the captain.
I'm gonna be straight up with you guys, man. I did not have a lot to go on when it came to the Jack Reacher character because all I had was the two movies with Tom Cruise. I didn't read any of the source material, so when I saw the trailer for this and then saw that it was being advertised, I didn't have a lot of high hopes for it. But I thoroughly enjoyed it right off rip, man. The very first episode got you engaged into everything that was going on, and I'm not mad at it. And a huge shout out to Alan Richardson, however you want to say it. Dude played a pretty good Reacher, man. I felt more from his Reacher than I did from Tom Cruise's Reacher. If I don't want to put Tom Cruise on, shut him down like that or anything, but he brought a little bit more depth to the character. And I know you can do that with a series more so than you can with an actual movie, but I felt like his Reacher character really just had a lot more going on because we got a lot more backstory and we got a little bit, I don't want to say it was funny, but like it was more of a him being a little bit stoic and then everybody else trying to get answers from him and everything. His responses and his one-liners and everything was just, that's what made it a little humorous, and that made me enjoy the character a little bit more because Tom Cruise's character as Reacher, I mean, in the first movie, I felt like the first movie was a little bit better than the second one for me, in my opinion, but his character, you enjoyed his character, but I feel like Alan Rickson, or however you want to say his name, he brought just a little bit more depth to the character and he made him just a little bit more enjoyable, in my opinion. Now, it's only 8 episodes, and like the whole overall of the series is, from episode 1 to episode 8, is him trying to solve the case that's taking place in this small town of Margrave, Georgia. Now, what I loved about it was because it, like, any other series like this, it spanned over those 8 episodes, but him being, Reacher, we know that Reacher travels around and, he's pretty much a nomad or whatever. So I knew going into this, watching this season 1 anyway, that he's just going to be in this town for this season. And then every season he's going to be in another town. And I feel like that's where the excitement comes in. And that's where you're going to get more out of this series than you would from the actual movie. Because in the movies, he's in that one place and then that's it. And even in season 1, he's in that one place, but you get so much more out of these 8 episodes. And the characters that's in the ensemble with him, they make the show as well. We have, let me see, I had to pull it up, so you'll see me looking over here to get their names. We have Malcolm Goodwin as Finley, and we have Willa Fitzgerald as Roscoe, and then we have a whole bunch of other supporting cast. But those particular 3 are our main, they're our group, they're our core. And I feel like Alan Rickson, Reacher, and Malcolm Goodwin as Finley, and Willa Fitzgerald's Roscoe, they all played well off each other. But I really love the connection between Reacher and Finley because they just made the show so much more than what it was. Like, it wasn't comedic, but it was just them being who they are. It just made it so much more interesting and more fun, and their connection. And even with Reacher's connection with Roscoe, we see that that's taking place in the very first episode, and then it kind of just pans out throughout the entire series. But like I said, we knew Reacher doesn't stay in one place long, so even if he had all these connections to these people in this town, at the end of the season, that's it. And I think that's one of the things that I really enjoyed the most, is because I knew it was going to come to an end, but he still made these connections, and him being with all these people, it made Reacher a better person because we see the flashbacks and we see that him growing up with his brother and his family and being in the military and everything like that. We see that, Reacher was, he was a difficult child growing up, and then he just became an adult. But we see that these people in this small town are making him open up just a little bit more. And I really enjoyed that. Now, the fight scenes, on the other hand, the fight scenes were legit, man. Basically, Reacher done more fighting than anybody else. But the fight scenes were legit. They were engaging. There was a lot of movement, but like they stayed pretty tight and focused. If you know what I'm saying, like if you saw a bunch of fight scenes, they stayed pretty tight and focused. So like even if they did had to kind of swap him out for like the action double or whatever like that, you really couldn't tell when because they stayed kind of tight. They didn't zoom out, zoom in, and do a lot of cuts and stuff like that. So I felt like the action was on point and the storytelling was great. I do feel like they kind of rushed it a little bit with his backstory, but that's just my opinion. I feel like they kind of just gave us that in these, cause they kind of broke it down in like glimpses. Like he'll be looking at something and then he'll think of a flashback, because this town or whatever, this case kind of made him kind of reminisce. I'm not mad at it because I feel like in the movies we don't get enough backstory for Reacher, but in the show, I know you could do so much more in a show than you could in the movie, but I just felt like it was just so fast. I feel like we didn't really need it as much. Then we get introduced to a member of his former unit. Like, there's a lot of depth in the character Reacher in the series, and I am really, really enjoying it. I feel like, they said it was based off the book, like every time you watch the episode. So I feel like this is definitely more closely to the source material. I'm not totally sure because I haven't read the source material, but if you have, comment down below and let me know, is the show more on point with this with the source material than the movies were? I feel like this show is definitely doing more at a better junction than the movies did. I don't want to go in too much in depth because I don't want to give it away if you haven't watched it, but overall, like I said, the action, the characters are playing their parts to perfection. I have no qualms about it. The only thing I did find a little under the weather, if you will, would be the villains of this particular season. They were so one-dimensional, and you could see all of them, just coming from a mile away. They were all predictable. They were one-dimensional villains, if you will, and they all got their comeuppance in the end. But I just feel like it was just they were very one-dimensional. But I did like the fact that he had to solve it in the case. Like each episode, like they got more and more and more, and they didn't really just unravel everything until like the last episode. That's when everything kind of just unfolded. So he didn't solve the case like in the very beginning and then had to do other stuff. It took each individual episode for them to actually get more information about the case than what they actually originally had. I feel like that's just great storytelling in my opinion. Overall, like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. I have no qualms about it, and I am super excited for season 2 to see what other town he goes into. And there was one running gag throughout the entire series that I feel like was wonderful, and it was about the pie. Now, I won't go into much detail, but it was a running gag about pie this entire season, and I feel like the payoff at the end was glorious when it came to that pie, man. This is pretty incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button too. You can't smash any more. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. And I gotta say, I highly recommend Reacher. Peace out. I cannot complain because today, I'm doing my thing. I stay my